I've been using ChatGPT for a while now, and since starting my YouTube channel, it's become part of my daily routine. Some of these ways I've been using it over the last year have surprised me, but these are ways that anyone can try. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 practical, simple, and honestly fun ways that ChatGPT can help you going into 2025. And stick to the end of the video, I'm going to show a feature that ties it all together. So let's dive in. Before we start, to benefit from these tools, you'll need to subscribe to a Plus plan. At $20 a month, or at the cost of 2 Big Mac meals a month, I think it's worth it. This isn't a sponsored video. It's just my honest take on the benefits and the value that I've gotten out of it so far. So first up, ChatGPT has replaced my Google searches. It struck me the other day how much less time I'm spending searching for stuff online now that I'm using ChatGPT more, especially since the ChatGPT 4.0 model has been given a search function within it. So in your chat window, you can click on search, and you can ask it to search online for you, or you can literally just prompt it to search online. So for example, I can ask it, when is the best time to travel to Japan as a tourist? And what's the optimum budget flying from my country? And it'll give me answers with links that it references to give you those answers. So you can actually go to these websites. So it'll give you the sources for that information. You can be more specific. What are the internal travel costs? Can you look online and see any itineraries that you can offer from other travelers that could suit a 2-week holiday to experience the country well? So it gave me how I could plan my trip. So day 1 to 5 to Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Osaka. And then I clicked on sources and it gives me all the websites it's been sourcing. So quite a lot. Very different to a Google search, of course, as you can see. But what I like about it is that you can keep asking it questions. So it's going to give you direct answers without the fluff and without all those adverts that clutter the information. So we only look at what's on the first page, and here I'm not constrained by that. And if I want something more specific, like say I'm a skydiver, I like skydiving, is there anything in Tokyo or around the Tokyo area that I can go for? I can build an itinerary around that as well, and I'm not having to go to separate websites and start working in the old-fashioned Google way. Another example could be that you want to search for a certain product. So I told it I have a HP DeskJet 3790 printer scanner. It's a very poor product. Sorry HP, but that was a really poor printer. And I specifically say to ChatGPT, is there a good small competitor? Can you look online? And it'll then give the best competitors, the most suitable printers with ratings of them. So again, links to websites. I can go on and say, look online and see where in Islington, London, for example, I could buy this Epson EcoTank ET2800. So it gives me a map, a Google map, I assume, with stores, links to stores that I can click on and go and find it. So you can do your online shopping through ChatGPT. Maybe, you could be looking for certain products and you don't have to go through that Google search process that we've gotten used to. So the question is, what does this mean for search platforms like Google search? If you're running a business or a marketing department, you've actually gotten used to having to push your business to be on the top of the page of the Google search, right? Clearly things are about to change. If I was to guess, I think Google will eventually phase out the Google search platform that we've been used to working all these years, and it'll become an interface to their AI, which is the Gemini model probably. Even the term, let's Google it, will probably be extinct very soon as a term. Kind of sad, I guess, but it's just the way of things evolving technologically. It's actually quite an interesting point to realize that AI is going to become our search tool. Next up, you can create your own custom AI assistants through custom GPTs. I made 3 videos on the subject on how to create your own custom GPT, how to write the best prompt for your GPTs, and also how to use them as part of your team at work. I'll link to those videos in the description below, and also at the end of this video, I'll link to at least one of those videos. I highly recommend you build your own GPTs if you're using ChatGPT regularly because that maximizes its capabilities for you. Just go into on the top right here, My GPTs to the menu, click on that. As you can see, I've got quite a list of GPTs that create my descriptions of my YouTube videos, my LinkedIn posts, helps me write scripts. So I've got a script outline writer. I have something to summarize meetings, summarize reports. You can click on Create a GPT and build your own AI assistants. Now, often what happens is that I could start a chat in a normal chat window. I might brainstorm an idea for a video script, and somewhere along the lines, I might say to myself, well, I've got enough thought process and brainstorming going forward here that I would like now to be able to call on a GPT. Now, I don't want to copy this whole chat, go to my GPT, paste it in, and say to it, okay, read this. And, I have to go back and forth. So they've added this capability by in the chat, in a normal chat window, you write the act character and you get your list of the GPTs you want to call on that will take part in this conversation. I'll call in my title GPT, which all its function is to come up with names or titles for my videos on my YouTube based on the subject matter and the transcript that I give it. So for example, I can ask it, can you give me 3 title ideas that are conversational and fun from the chat info? What's going on in this case is that I've got a conversation going with ChatGPT. Your GPTs, your custom GPTs, each have a function. In this particular case, it has very specific guidelines. I've set up boundaries for which it's supposed to reply in. It's style, its behavior. If you've told it to write very formally, it'll do that here. And the beauty is that I can now say, okay, I want to call on another GPT to continue talking to me within the context of this conversation I've just had. So for example, you could have 2 custom GPTs, right? One for summarizing reports that you upload. You could have an interaction back and forth to pull out as much information and the data you want. And then you can switch to another GPT, which summarizes or creates, for example, presentation outlines. And you can say to that GPT now, look at the summary of the reports and create me a 7 slides based on the summary. In the same interface, you're talking to as many custom GPTs as you want, and they're taking part in this conversation that you're having. One of the recent additions to ChatGPT is the canvas function. So when you start a chat, on the top left here, you can choose the models you want to work with. So in it, you would select your GPT-4o with Canvas. And now just start communicating with it in your normal chat window. So in this case, I uploaded 2 marketing reports and I asked it, summarize these reports in one summary. And it summarized those for me. Then you can ask it, let's move to the canvas. And it'll open up this interface where on the left, you can continue chatting to it in the way that you're used to. On the right here is what is a word processor, essentially. So for example, I could write in, these reports are great. I could start adding and editing. You get the opportunity to turn them into bold, italics. You can ask ChatGPT. So when I highlight a section, I can highlight by clicking here. There's an icon here that says edit or explain. So I can embellish on that. I can tell it to summarize it or make it shorter. For each paragraph, I can go on each line. I can basically edit as I want. On the bottom right here, you've got some tools. So you can suggest edits. You can ask it to suggest some of these edits. You can adjust the length of the response that it gave you. So for example, if you want to make it shorter, just on the slide bar here, you can shorten it and then click go. So if I clicked on that, you'll see that it starts working. On the top right here, you have the undo version. So you can go back to the previous version, or you can see the changes it made. So there's an icon here that looks kind of like a clock that shows you what it changed. But I can go back to my previous version by clicking on the back icon here. I can restore this version. I can change the reading level, what kind of language is it using? Is it very formal? Which often in my prompt I'll write at a 7th or 8th grade level on purpose because I like that kind of language in my LinkedIn posts or social media, for example. But in the end, you will, by clicking here, copy and paste it into your other platform that you finalize the written content for. You can come back to the chat, close the window, and I can literally say, look, I don't want to go back into Canvas, have a bit more of a chat on your normal interface, so I can go back into Canvas whenever I want. So a really useful tool to do some word processing, get some written content going very quickly. Towards the final edit, you can then move on to your Microsoft Word or other programs. So number 4, here's a fun way of using ChatGPT for me. It can analyze images. So it's not just using DALL-E model to create images, but it can actually read images, analyze images. For example, I had this cooker to sell as a second hand. I had to replace it. So I uploaded it by clicking upload here. You can upload any images from your hard disk. I said to ChatGPT, I want to sell this on a second-hand site. Can you describe it for me so it's clear to the reader what it is? It's a Samsung induction cooktop, 4 zones, excellent condition. It just wrote a nice kind of sales pitch for the cooktop, I should say. Is able to look at this image and understand. It read Samsung. It could see the logo of Samsung. It sees that there's a power cable and a plug is available, is connected to it. It saw that it's an induction. It understands what it's looking at based on its statistical analysis as an AI, and it sees safety features and what it is, and that is 4 zones. Another thing that you can do is you can upload images of technical data, graphs, tables like this. So this is financial statements. I gave it these 3 financial statements and I say, can you summarize these for me? Now remember, these are JPEGs. They're just images. So it's not getting actual text. It'll summarize that for me. What's the income statement, highlights, give me key observation, all on its own. And you can also turn images into text. For example, write it as text here in a table. So it gave me that table, it reads it from the image, and you can copy and paste this into an Excel or your Google Sheets, for example. So it's a very cool tool to kind of use its eyes to get quick responses. Next up, it can be your advisor. So for example, a year ago, I bought a piece of land with the goal of just selling it for profit. A month ago, a management company called me in and offered that I join their group of landowners so that when all the permits are ready and get the best prices for the properties. They sold their service very well and explained what my initial cost and what the commission I would pay. And it seemed interesting. I'll strengthen my hand, get more of a profit. They sent me a contract, not in English, which English is my strongest language. It had all that was said to me. I could read it, of course, and it seemed on the surface that it was very good. But I decided to ask my lawyer. So I asked ChatGPT to look over it. And I uploaded it into ChatGPT, gave it the context of the offer. I explained what it's all about, what is my goals as well. Immediately, ChatGPT raised a red flag. It made me go cold on the offer quite quickly, to be honest. It showed me a clause, but very quickly, within a minute, I was able to see there's a potential that the fees would rise because they wrote in there that if their costs go up or if there are unforeseen costs, we, in the group would pay for that. And it also picked up on other weaknesses in the contract that could lead to disagreements. Of course, I then shared it to my real lawyer. I'm not saying replace your lawyer with ChatGPT. That would be very irresponsible of any of us to do, to be honest. Get proper professional advice on these things. But it can save you time if you're working in a business where you're dealing with a lot of NDAs and you want to quickly skim through them and summarize them. Ask ChatGPT, do you see anything? Give it the context of the NDA. What's the point of this? And ask it, do you see anything that would put us in a weaker position? Next up, one of my favorite ChatGPT uses, using it as my own personal software engineer. And honestly, you don't need to know programming at all for this to work for you. Let's look at an example. I wanted to design a chunk of text where each word was of a different size and style. Normally, you'd have to go in and manually change it in Photoshop or Illustrator or Word or whatever. And I didn't want to spend the time to do that manually. I just don't have the time for that. So I asked ChatGPT to write a Python script that could load up a text document and do it for me quickly. It took me about 10, maybe 15 minutes to get the script working to my liking. So you might think, that's just too technical. And trust me, it isn't. I mean, there's some technical aspects to it, but anyone can do this. What I can recommend is that you simply ask ChatGPT to walk you through the process. So, for example, you can literally write to it, I have no programming experience. I want to write a Python script to recognize files in a folder by category and name. I don't know anything about using Python. I don't have Python, for example. Can you ask me questions that will help you understand what is needed to achieve this in the best possible way? Then we can proceed. It starts asking me questions. What operating system am I using? What are the categories that I'd like to organize the files in? Yeah, I'm giving an example. You would tell it what it is you want, and it would ask you the right questions. Do you have Python installed in your computer? Are you interested in learning Python, or do you just want a working solution? In most cases, you just want a working solution. So I wrote to it. I'm using Windows 11. There are documents about companies. I just made stuff up. I'd like to organize them by company name. And I explained to it how I want. I said to it, I do not have Python on my computer. I need a step-by-step guide on doing so. I want you to guide me how to install it, use it, and debug if needed. I'm not an experienced tech person. Is there anything else you need to know? And it says, no, that's good information. And it starts telling me, first up, step one, let's install Python for you. So you can ask ChatGPT to walk you through the process of what you actually need to do to install it on your operating system. The beauty is that not only is it there to write your code, it's there to tell you how to set things up for it, how to use the code. For example, I have a client that I have built this automation workflow that posts her social media content on her Facebook and Instagram on a regular scheduled basis automatically. So she sends me batches of images, batches of videos, and I need to place text on each of those posts and also write the captions for the posts and have them uploaded onto her Facebook and Instagram. I don't have time to do that manually. It's labor intensive. So I automated a process for creating the text. I automate a process for layering that on the images in Photoshop. But for the videos, sometimes she'll send me 20 videos at a time. And my editing software does not have an automation tool to put text on each video. I asked ChatGPT to write me a Python script that takes the text that's in an Excel file associated to a certain video, the right video, layer the text onto the video, and then export a new video with the text that I can then tell my automation tool just pick these up and start posting them on the regular schedule. So all that, I set it all up within an hour. That's the speed at which you can use your new software engineer, which is ChatGPT, to reduce the amount of time you spend on those repetitive, laborious tasks. Literally, you can just ask ChatGPT and you'll find that it's actually a really fun way of solving some of these problems or creating functions or little scripts that you don't get in many of our off-the-shelf products. The seventh use of ChatGPT is what ties it all together. You can do everything I've talked about using this function, which is voice chat. I use the mobile application. You can connect it to your microphone on the desktop now, I believe. Notice that I'm talking to it a lot more and more as time goes by. Sometimes when I'm out walking my dog, Chewy, I'll have a thought or I want to brainstorm with it a bit or just share a thought so I can come back home and process that further. So I'll talk to my phone as I walk the dog, or I'll keep it on my table and just ask it questions. You click on this speech icon, let's call it. And then when you don't want it to respond, you click on mute. So for example, let's start a chat with it. Hi there.
Hi there. How's it going?
Good. So I'm creating a YouTube video about this function of ChatGPT.
Awesome. I'm excited to be part of your video. What would you like to cover about ChatGPT?
So I want to show how I brainstorm with you. And so I'm going to give you a rule, okay? If every sentence that I start with is in your name, so I'm going to give you a name. You're called Mary. If I start every sentence with the name Mary, you can respond. If I do not say anything, if you do not hear the name Mary at the start of any sentence, stay silent, do not respond, and wait for me to call your name, okay? Do you understand?
Absolutely. I understand. I'll wait for my name before responding.
So as you can see, I'm talking to it. Hopefully it doesn't respond because, I'm here trying to explain something and I don't want, like if I'm brainstorming and talking to myself or talking to a colleague, I don't want, in this case, Mary to interrupt me. And I can see that she hasn't. So Mary, so I've been explaining to them how it's really useful to use you as a brainstorm session, like when I go out with a dog or just put you on the table by my side and just kind of ask you questions about a subject. And you can actually wait and respond to me when needed, right?
Exactly. I'm here to help whenever you're ready, whether it's brainstorming on the go or having a thoughtful discussion at your desk. Just say the word and I'll jump in.
And another thing about working with you is that actually this is all being recorded into text. You're actually transcribing this in my ChatGPT record. So this chat is being recorded and saved for later. So users can come back to this chat or start following up on a later time with anything that we discuss between ourselves. Right, Mary?
That's right. Our conversations can be saved and referred back to later, making it easy to revisit our brainstorming sessions or any advice I've given. It's a handy way to keep track of ideas and information.
Great. So thanks, and I'll get back to you at a later date. Have a nice day.
You too. Looking forward to our next chat. Take care.
So actually, it surprised me because it's the first time I got it to work in that way. In the past, I saw that I had to click the mute button to get her to shut up and not respond to anything that she hears in the background or me talking to myself or talking to a colleague. You can use now ChatGPT there to kind of listening in on a conversation or you just thinking out loud in such a way that it becomes your collaborator, your brainstorm buddy. Imagine that you're now writing code or you wanted to develop a prompt for a custom GPT. All these things you can actually just interact with it here and then get back to it in your interface of ChatGPT and develop it further, develop the conversation further and your ideas further. So those are some of the ways that ChatGPT has surprised me in 2024. I hope it gives you some ideas to try for yourself. And if you're still wondering how ChatGPT can help you in your daily life and your work routines, then I hope this video answers some of those questions. Let me know in the comment section how you're using ChatGPT, what features you find the most useful. And if you want to customize your own ChatGPT responses, or you want to know how to build your own custom GPTs, then click on these video links here. And if you like the video, click the like button and do subscribe. It'll go a long way to supporting me as I grow my channel to keep giving tips and tricks on AI tools that you can use. So thanks for listening in and see you next time.